Hey, hey, hey there. Okay, why is my light not on? There we go. There we go. Some light on the subject. All right, today I'm going to be talking about how to manage those holiday cravings. I know it is a time of year. I've got my Halloween shirt on here. We've got Halloween coming up tomorrow. We've got Thanksgiving, Christmas, all those fun fall, winter holidays where there's lots of treats, there's lots of candy. And I want to make sure that you have 5 strategies I'm going to share with you today that are going to help you to be able to go through this season and feel in control and feel on track. We don't have to give this stuff up, but what can be really, really helpful is having strategies in place that are going to help us to manage those cravings and feel like we are staying on track. I've worked with numerous women that this time of year can often be one of those times where they feel really off track and they have to start over on um, I was going to say Monday, but in January. And I want to make sure that that is not you, right? So when I work with my clients, they hit the holidays feeling confident, feeling good that they can stay on track with the plan that they've created for themselves because of utilizing these strategies. Okay. So let me know if you're here in a comment down below. I love to know who's hopping in, who's joining me. And of course, I would also love to know, I mean, since we're talking about candy, right? And those candy cravings, share your thing below. I always love to hear what like other people's, favorite treats are. I'm a huge chocolate girl, and I mean you could pretty much give me anything chocolate and I'd be happy. But if I had to pick my favorite candy, it would come down to either the Reese's cups for sure, Mounds bars, or York patties are my three ultimate top favorites. So drop a comment, let me know what yours are down below. And now we're all gonna just ramp up our cravings since we're sharing about candy. But don't worry, you're gonna have some strategies here in just a second. All right. So for you guys tuning in, all right, I'm Becky Fox. I help women over 40 lose the weight and keep it off with sustainable strategies, no restriction, no deprivation. You don't have to give up sugar, but how you put it into your day is what really matters. And I've helped thousands of women over the last 20 years get in shape. Okay. So I want to help you do the same thing with the things that I'm teaching here. And if you guys haven't, I am a fitness and fat loss coach. I've put together a fat loss checklist that will help women lose the fat. So those top things that need to happen. I mean, one, of course, is managing those cravings. But one thing that's going to really help with cravings is making sure that you're fueling your body properly throughout the day. So just drop checklists down below to grab that fat loss checklist. Okay. Because that's going to help you set up your plan in a way that's going to help you fuel your body and ward off those cravings. Okay. All right. Let's dive in. So, number one is setting up your environment. Okay. So, the last thing that you want to do is buy candy, whether it's Halloween candy or Christmas candy or whatever it is. Put it in a bowl and set it on the counter, right? Because what's going to happen every time you walk through the kitchen, you're going to grab a piece and grab a piece. And by the end of the day, you're not going to realize that you've eaten like 10 of those little pieces of candy. Okay. When it's there, when it's easy to see, when it's easy to access, you're more likely to eat more of it because of that. So, one of the key things that can be really helpful is to put it out of sight, out of mind, as they say, right? So, if you're going to buy the Halloween candy to pass out to those trick or treaters, go put it in the cupboard, okay? And make sure it's like either high up or down low where you're not going to see it every time you open the cupboard. By having it out of sight, you're less likely to be reminded that it's there. You're less likely to be snacking and grazing on it throughout the day. And because it's harder to get to, it's going to it's going to create a little friction. So you're less likely to be grabbing it and going after it. Okay. So putting it somewhere. So put it in the cupboard, put it in a drawer, put it on the bottom shelf, put it in a tin where you're not seeing it and put that tin away, whatever that has to be, out of sight, out of mind, guys. Setting up your environment is going to be so, so helpful for you to staying on track with it. Okay. Now, maybe it's after the holidays and the holidays are over and everybody's left and the trick-or-treaters are gone and the holiday guests are gone. Couple other things you can do, of course, is give it away, get it out of the house. That's always an amazing like 1.0 strategy. But we still have to be prepared when people bring that stuff in the house. And that's where putting it out of sight is going to be really, really helpful. And then on the flip side of that, why not put those healthier options out so they're easy to get to it and you're going to be reminded to grab them. Put the bowl of apples on the table where you can see it. Put the chopped up veggies that are ready to go at eye level in the fridge so that you can see them and easily get to them. Okay, so we can do the flip side of this to get ourselves to eat more healthy options as well. Okay, so think about where are you putting this stuff. Make it harder to access, harder to get to. Okay, and that's going to go such a long way. So even if your hubby or your kids are bringing this stuff in, right, you can say, all right, we're going to put it in the back of the the cupboard, so if you guys want any, here's where it's going to be. Okay, all right, so that is number one, you guys. Number two, all right, now you're like, you've decided that you're going to have some of those Reese cups, okay? And maybe they're like the mini ones in a bag. Now, the last thing that you want to be doing is grab the whole bag, go sit down on the couch and start eating out of it, okay? That is going to be a recipe for disaster. So this really works well for anything you tend to munch on: popcorn, chips, candy, you name it. We want to portion it out. So you've got it hiding in the, that hard to get spot in the cupboard. You're going to get it out. Okay, you're not going to take the whole bag with you. Okay, you're going to portion out a serving, put it back, and then eat that serving, right? Because what you're doing is, again, you're creating more friction for this. Okay, it's easy to mindlessly eat out of the bag, not realize how much that you actually had, and way overeat, not even realizing it, not even knowing it. Okay, and so portion it out so you can be more mindful of how much you're having. And that's going to go a long way in getting you to actually eat less without having to even think about it so hard. Okay. Now, with that said, too, I really want you to slow down and enjoy it. So sometimes we grab that candy, we sit on the couch, we start watching TV, we start eating it, and we don't even realize we've eaten like 5 pieces of it because we're just kind of eating it mindlessly. We're not paying attention. We're not really slowing down, enjoying it. And again, that's going to be it's going to make it really easy for you to overeat that stuff. So if you are going to enjoy the Reese cup, you're going to enjoy the York patty, whatever it is, I want you to slow down. I want you to actually really enjoy it. Be in the moment with it. Taste it. Like, get excited about it, okay? Because then you are going to be more mindful in doing it, and it's going to be easier to say no to those future temptations that may come your way. Okay, so number two is portion it out. Let me know if this is resonating with you in a comment down below. Okay. Now, number three, if you are going to have treats, so like I said before, I am not a fan of you can't ever have sweets. You've got to give up all sugar, right? This is usually a recipe to backfire into complete binge eating, complete going crazy, only to start over again on Monday. Okay. And so, one of the things that can really help you is having that treat, having that sugary thing as dessert with a meal. Why is that important? Because in that meal, right, we should be having protein and fiber, things that will help that blood sugar stay more stable. So one of the things that's going to really ramp up your cravings when it comes to this stuff is if we're having that treat by itself, okay, it's a lot of sugar in our system really fast, it's going to spike our blood sugar way up. This is why you might like have that kind of like sugar high energy going on. But what usually happens after that, we have a crash where we might feel tired, our cravings start to ramp up again, we start seeking out more sugary things, more carby things, right? Because what's happening by having that sugar by itself, it spikes, but it calms back down way too low, right? And we want to avoid having it come way too low. So how do we do that? We have it with a meal. We have it with something that has some protein and some fiber that gives it some sticking power. So our blood sugar does go up a little bit, but it comes more back down to baseline. Okay. When it comes too low, that's where it's going to mess up that feedback, that energy, that cravings, those hunger levels. And so the more we can regulate that by also making sure we're eating the right foods throughout the day in those meals, right? So that's where I mentioned that checklist. So make sure to drop checklist down below to grab that, right? But also making sure that we are, just totally lost my train of thought. We're having it with that meal, right? So it stays more stable and it keeps our blood sugar more regular. I've got okay, this is crazy. I've got the windows open and it's just a little loud over here, so it distracted me. But it's almost November, and I can't believe I'm sitting in my room in Michigan with the windows open. This is crazy. So, but I'm loving it. I'm not complaining. I'm actually kind of warm in this Halloween sweatshirt I decided to wear. I'll have to change after this video. But anyways, let's dive in. And you guys, if you're hopping in late, one of the questions I asked at the beginning of the video is, what's your we're talking about candy and those sweet cravings and that kind of thing. I'd love to know what your like candy craving, your thing is that you just really, really enjoy. Because that's one of the things that I actually didn't even, I didn't even put on my list here, but I'm going to go ahead and toss it in here because one of the things that can be really, really helpful. So you're going to get a bonus one. Here's a bonus one, right? Is having those things that, like picking and choosing what's really worth it to you, right? So if I've got a Hershey bar and I got a Reese cup, I don't need to eat both of them. I'm not a big fan of the milk chocolate stuff and the Hershey bars, right? So I'm going to pick the Reese cup over the Hershey bar. I'm going to pick and choose what's actually really worth it to me so that I'm eating the thing that I enjoy. I'm not going to just down a bunch of Hershey bars, not really feel satisfied, because then I'm going to go be seeking out that Reese cup or something that I enjoy more. So that's a little bonus tip for you guys, is picking and choosing those things that are really, really worth it to you. All right. So what do we talked about? We talked about setting up our environment, portioning it out, having it as dessert. So it's going with the meal to help regulate that blood sugar. The next one is what I teach a lot of my clients. So I did a video on this actually last week, you guys. It's called the 80-20 principle. So if you want to dive into that more, go make sure to check out the video that I did last week. I'll try to put it here on the screen somewhere after the live is over. And basically what that talks about is we eat fairly healthy, whole foods, proteins, fiber, all those good things 80% of the time. But I want to give you that 20% where you can have fun foods, things like candy and stuff like this. So we have to be careful of that restriction where we're telling ourselves we can never have this stuff, because it is going to backfire into overeating, binge eating it, right? Because the more we tell ourselves we can't have something, the more that we want it. And so allowing yourself just to have a little bit every day to feel satisfied, to satisfy that sweet tooth, is going to help you actually eat less in the long run, because it's not going to backfire into that overeating, that binge eating, which is so huge. So thinking of 20%. So like I said, check that video out, but basically you want to think about, so for a lot of women, this might be somewhere around 250 to maybe 350 calories a day. You get to have whatever you want. Have a couple French fries, have a few pieces of candy, right? Have that small piece of cake. So allow yourself room to do those things. And I can guarantee you're going to be so much more successful in the long run if you have little bits here and there than if you try to avoid it completely and it backfires, right? Because we've been there, done that. So quit doing the stuff that isn't working and being so restrictive, and have a plan that allows for that 80-20 rule. So the program, the plan, the thing that you're doing is actually sustainable in the long run. I mean, doesn't that sound so much more fun? I think that sounds way more fun and a lot easier to stick to. All right. So the last piece I want to talk about is, you know what? Here's the reality of this. You are going to, at some point, overindulge, overeat, have too much candy. It is going to happen. Okay. Sometimes I think we get to this point where we're like, I'm just going to be perfect all the time and I'm never going to make a mistake and nothing's ever going to happen. It's not true. I still do it from time to time. I do it way less often than I used to, because I was totally that person that would try to restrict. I would go crazy. I remember the first time I did like the 16-week really strict diet. As soon as it was over, I ate a whole bag of Oreos in like a day, right? So that was my pattern for a long time. So these things will happen from time to time. But what I notice is, well, I don't do it as extreme. So I can't say I've eaten a whole bag of Oreos like in a very long time. And it happens less often. Okay. And when it does happen, the goal is that we want to get better at catching it, recognizing it, and moving on from it. Okay. And so that is one of the ways that we make progress. Not that we're 100% perfect and we never overindulge a little too much, many sweets or eat too much candy, right? It's that we do it less often, we catch ourselves sooner, and we're able to move on from it without that guilt. So the last thing I want you doing, say you I don't know, you just lose control tomorrow and you have too much candy for Halloween. What I want you to focus on instead is just moving on from it. It's okay. What is a problem is if we take that day and it spirals into another week, another month, waiting till January to start over. And now we're 5 pounds heavier. But if we can kind of just forgive ourselves, know that, hey, every once in a while, we might make a mistake like this. It's okay. We're human. It's going to happen. We can move on from it, start over the next day. And just that one day is not going to derail all your progress. Okay. But continuing to stay on that path is going to derail your progress. So when that happens, forgive yourself, move on, and don't do anything special. So then what some people do is they're going to go, all right, I need to work out double every day this week. And let's like starve ourselves for a couple days to make up for that. Well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be right back on that cycle again of under eating, um, restricting yourself, trying to give up sugar, and then the weekend comes and you go crazy again. So that's just going to become perpetuate the cycle of being too restrictive, overeating, overindulging, binging. So we're trying, the goal is to end that cycle, right? So don't do anything special. Get back onto your routine. If you're logging your food, get back to logging your food. If you tend to have 3 balanced meals a day, get back to having those balanced meals a day. Start your day with protein so you're energized and you're good to go and you feel more in control of that meal starting that next day. Okay, we don't have to wait. We don't have to do anything special because trying to punish yourself, trying to make up for it is only going to make things worse in the long run and backfire in the long run. All right, you guys. So that is my 5 strategies to help you manage those holiday cravings. I hope this was helpful. If so, drop a comment down below. Let me know your biggest takeaway. Quick recap, we got to set that environment up for success. Okay, very key there. You can have this stuff, right? But let's be mindful how we do it. Portion it out. Don't just eat mindlessly out of the bag because you're going to eat way more than you even realize if you do that. 3, try to stack any kinds of sweets, especially sugary things, with a meal. You're not as likely to eat as much of it. It's going to help balance that blood sugar so you won't find yourself snacking, craving, reaching for more within, 20, 30 minutes or 60 minutes right away. Okay. And then 80/20 principle. Okay. You can have this stuff. So quit telling yourself you can never have it because that is not going to be sustainable. Think about 80% of the time I'm making good choices and 20% of the time I can have some fun. I'm allowed to have these things. It's okay. All right. And the last one is if you do overindulge, it's going to happen. Be okay with it. Move on from it. Know that you don't have to punish yourself. You don't have to do anything special. Just keep going at your very next opportunity. This is not a reason to quit. This is not a reason to start over in a week. This is not a reason to wait till January to have New Year's resolutions. You always have the opportunity to get on and to keep going. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if your goal is you're looking to lose say 20 to 50 pounds and you want to, make sure you're on the right track with those steps that you need to be doing, drop checklist down below. I'll get that fat loss checklist over to you to help you get started. You don't have to wait till January. It's no time like the present to start changing those habits and get yourself on track so you can go into New Year's feeling absolutely amazing. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you later.